Hello, hi. This is session 2 of Understanding Children's Behaviour. These sessions are put on in the community, so if you need to know where they're going on and what times they're running, just give me a shout. Lynn at carriersofhope.org.uk. I'll put it in titles as well. Okay, so session 2 follows on obviously from session 1. And in this session, we're going to introduce a game. And the game is about consequences. Now, if your child misbehaves, they get a consequence. In the olden days, we might have called it a punishment, but we don't use that language anymore. We use the word consequence. So if you stick your finger in the plug, you will have a consequence. You will be hurt. If you come downstairs after I've put you to bed, there will be a consequence. Now, a lot of parents say, why are we doing this again and again and again? Why don't children just get it and behave? Well, today's session will show you why, and we'll do a consequence game where you mustn't cross your legs and you mustn't cross your arms. And let's see how many of us forget and do it again and again and again. The consequences quite often don't take away behaviour straight away. It has to become a habit. Okay. Now, if we recap the session 1, we talked about points to ponder. The idea that the media or other people show how wonderful they are at parenting, and we actually quite often feel like we're the worst parent in the world. But nobody's taught us how to parent. Obviously, we talked about how our parents taught us something about parenting. It might be something we don't want to teach our children, but the idea is that we get our own type of parenting with our own children because we know them best. We also talked about the types of behaviour. Sometimes children knock things over, that's just children. Sometimes they're not of the age that they can understand to wait, don't interrupt, wait. Sometimes they absolutely know what they're doing and they are behaving to get some sort of reaction from you. And that's the type of behaviour, the challenge to authority that we need to tackle. And of course, we talked a lot about the media, about children, children being sweet and kind and clever. And actually, that's not real. That's not real. A lot of us have children who just present problems all the time, and that's normal, that's usual. Okay, this session we're going to talk about patterns of behaviour. How do they develop? And we're talking about how it starts in babies. The baby cries, you pick him up. The baby cries, you pick him up. And you build up a pattern of rewards for the behaviour. So it could be you have a baby that knows he's loved. Bless me, that knows he's loved and is picked up. Or it could be you have a baby who knows if he cries, it's no use, he won't be picked up, and therefore he stops crying, which is sad really, isn't it? Because you should be loved. So we're going to talk about children who don't respond until you're shouting at them, which obviously you don't want other people to hear, you feel bad about it, but they haven't listened. You've said it 8 times. So we're going to talk about that thing that goes on with all parents, with all families. We're going to do a little bit about the supermarket, a little bit of acting, Frida and I, and we're going to talk about where the payoff usually is. There's usually a payoff. Children do respond to parents' response. So I used to have a little boy in nursery, and every time we sat down for dinner, he'd go, I need a bucket, bring me a bucket. And that was really about his anxiety about sitting down at the table, because at home when he sat down, the parents would start to argue. So to distract that, he would need to get sick. He'd need a bucket to get sick in. So children are responding to what we're doing all the time. They'll copy us. And we're going to act out as well the idea of a nightmare. Now that will be a separate video. That would be worth buying a ticket to. We're talking in this session about breaking the pattern. If you have children that are of the right age to tidy up and yet they don't tidy up, how do you make that happen? We're talking about rules, making rules, sticking to rules, rewarding the rules, and we're going to have obviously the usual coffee or nice drink, a little bit to eat. We're going to have social downtime. We're going to meet people who are the same as us, not perfect parents. And we're going to make lists. You don't need to make this in English. You can make it in English or you can make it in your own language. There'll be people in the room that will translate with you. So a list of what you might use at home to stop the behaviours you don't like. Now, some people make a marble jar and you put a marble in every time the child's good. Some people say you've just earned, a break, or you've earned something towards a toy. And we're going to talk about the rewards, how effective they are, and what sort of rewards you could use for that age child or that type of child. Not all children are the same, are they? The rewards that we're trying to use are free or cheap. And the sort of things that we'll be discussing with each other is using a verbal reward, like you got ready for bed so quickly, there's extra time for a story. So using all of those skills as a parent to reward your children without having to fork out for plastic toys every week. We're going to have another look at the consequence game. Do you remember the game where you cross your legs and cross your arms? Why do we do that? And again, homework. We're going to ask you to write in your book, in any language you fancy, an example of how patterns of behaviour develop. We want you to look at the rules you have, and if you do have a partner, ask them if they knew they were rules. Did they know this was the rule? Did they agree with them? With my partner, I would say, let's not let them root through the fridge. They just take everything out and spoil it. The food's wasted. But he liked the idea of them having free choice. They can go to the fridge when they want and they can choose what they eat. So we need to be together on this, really. And this week we're going to ask you to record good behaviour, only good behaviour on your recording sheet. So only behaviour you like. Okay, I hope this session's exactly what you need.